What's all going on, guys? It's Thomas Walker from C2 Outdoors. I got Micka Burkhart, two-time Tennessee
Yeah, Tennessee state record holder.
Tennessee state record holder. So, first one you caught, about how much weight was it?
The first one was 118 pounds.
118
Yeah.
pounds. How was the fight on that one?
It was long, 45 minutes long.
45 minutes long.
Yeah, it was definitely a back hurting ordeal.
Were you by yourself?
Now the first one I had my wife with me, so that made it a lot easier getting the fish. Well, it wasn't a lot easier, but it made it easier than it did on the second time.
So you, obviously, did she get it in the net or did you get it in the net?
I actually when the fish was at the boat, I ended up handing her the rod so I could net the fish because I told her, I said if anybody was going to knock this fish off a hook, it was going to be me.
Right on, right on. Now, what about the second one?
The second one, I was definitely by myself.
And that one weighed?
122.3.
And that was on the Cumberland also?
Yeah, it was on, matter of fact, close to the same area.
And that one you were by yourself?
Yeah, that one I was by myself.
About how long was that fight?
Another 45, 50-minute fight.
Wow, wow. And you were able to net that thing? And
yeah, you could. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the video of it. It was all I could do to net that fish. And if I didn't get him that chance, I don't think I'd have got him a second chance. So, but yeah, I was able to get him.
So that must have been really challenging, obviously, getting it to the boat. You weren't worried about snapping off or anything? I mean, everything felt
No,
good to you?
been doing this long enough. I have a lot of confidence in the gear that I have, and so that wasn't really a worry. If I had a worry, it'd have been where the hook was.
Gotcha.
But when I first seen the fish, I seen that the hook was in the corner of the mouth, the soft part, but deep in. So, that hook would have had to break before that fish would have went anywhere. So I knew I was pretty confident as far as the hook, everything. I just had to wear him out to get him in.
So were you dragging, or were you on anchor, or?
No, I was dragging planer boards behind
You
the
were
boat.
dragging planer boards? Okay, well, you were dragging, obviously, a river, so you were obviously going with the water, or were you going
I was going against the current. I always drag against the current.
Against the current. Yeah. I got you. Well, what kind of board you use?
Well, they're actually homemade boards.
Okay.
I started making them when I first really started dragging boards, and I've just kind of stuck with them since.
Okay.
And at this point, as everybody can imagine, I get a lot of stuff thrown at me, but I'm going to try to stay true to myself and just use what got me here. So
Absolutely, keep it rolling.
yeah.
What kind of hooks you use?
Well, those I use the Mad Cat's cat snatcher hooks, the 9-aught circle.
Snatchers.
Yeah, the 9-aught circle hooks.
So you're a 9-aught.
Yeah.
Obviously, two big fish.
Yeah.
You had no problem wrapping the bone.
No.
Okay.
Nope. I've actually hooked some 60s and 70s that were just beyond the tooth patch, and it's actually kind of neat. But I didn't think I'd get one to go back that far because they got some pretty big tooth patches. But I've caught, I ain't gonna say several, but the ones I have caught behind the tooth patch, they've done a perfect job.
Okay. Now, contributing to your success on obviously getting two big, records. I mean, that's unheard of. I think we'd all like to break that. I think everybody wants to at least break that 100-pound mark.
Yeah.
I know I do. I haven't been successful at it yet. What do you think the outcome is down the road? Do you think you're going to be able to do it again?
I would sure hope so. I guess at this point, you talked to me 2 years ago. I'd have never thought in a million years I'd have caught one that big. I'd have never thought I'd caught one, 80 pounds, but I've caught two of those so far. But I guess the thing is, you just got to just always expect it, and then that's what I do every day I go fishing. You just never know what else is out there. The fish have been consistently getting bigger, which it has been a big turn in the last couple of years that I've noticed. And then just like I said, not knowing when that planer board goes straight or your rod goes down, you never know.
It's on.
Yeah.
Now, what's your favorite part about the fishing? I mean, is it the adrenaline rush for you? I mean,
honestly,
time on the water? Or?
Well, honestly, it's finding them. For me, it's putting forth the effort of searching for the fish, searching for the areas, and then actually going through and having it pay off. That's what's me. It's the searching for the fish.
Having a whole plan come together.
Yes, because
I get that fully.
Because we've all made a lot of plans that didn't work out at all.
Absolutely.
But when you can actually hit everything exactly right at the right time, on the right fish, man, it's rewarding. Because we all put a lot of time into this stuff, a lot of money, and more so a lot of time.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, if you can get it to where you're confident in what you're doing each time, and you can replicate that, not just in one spot, but several other different spots, and it's awesome just to kind of figure that out.
Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot. Obviously, the sport's been growing. Catfishing's been growing huge. I know when I open up my social media, I see a lot of people complaining about, nobody's giving information and nobody's going to tell you, how to do it or whatever the case may be. Without obviously your secrets, is there anything that you would give anybody, like any of the youth or anybody trying to get involved into the sport on what to do?
Yeah, and everybody that has contacted me from the first one to this one to any time at all, I don't hold nothing back because
Right.
I want the next person to be as successful as I have been, and I hope they are more successful than I will ever be. That's kind of the thing about this. The biggest thing that I ever try to do is, with the experiences I've had, is just education. It's education on fish care. It's education on the type of tackle, things like that. Because I've ran into a lot of people that have. I'm not going to say the most expensive stuff or whatever, but I'm just going to say subpar for what they're chasing. And if they ever get into a big fish or something like that, because I mean, we've all done it. I've caught fish with old hooks hanging out of their mouth. I've caught them with,
Yes, sir.
just 20, 30 yards of line still hanging off of them, and it's hard on fish. And it's just basically for me, it's just giving out that information. And and I'll even take people to my spot. So it's not like I got any secrets. It's just
Right.
It's just I want everybody to have that same success.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great attitude to have, and I think that's probably what makes you successful in what you do.
Yeah.
Another thing is on the water. How much time do you usually spend on the water, say per month?
I would say, well, we'll break it down per week. I'll usually hit the water if I'm home and not working, out of town. My job takes me out of town quite a bit, so I'll be gone for, a month or two at a time. Then I'm back home. But when I'm back home, I'm home. So I'll usually spend about 2 to 3 days a week on the water.
2 to 3 days a week. I mean, you're talking 2 to 3 days a week, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours.
It depends.
12 hours a pop.
Well, I usually don't do more than 8 hours, but most of the time, it's obviously weather dependent. If it's really, really hot, well, I'm not going to stay all day. Or like we fished the other day when it was storming real bad. we waited it out, but by the time that storm had passed, we were just so soaked and beat. But so we left kind of early on that day. But yeah, most days it's about 6 to 8 hours.
When did you start getting into catfishing?
Oh, I've catfished since I could walk.
Okay.
I've actually dabbled in different types of tournament fishing throughout the years, but I always come back to catfishing as something to kind of regroup, just take a relaxing day and go catfishing and stuff like that. So, but actively targeting these fish, I've probably been doing it for about 5-6 years.
So obviously you've been fishing them since you were knee high.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking about the past 5-6 years, obviously you've gotten serious with it.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about where you were 5-6 years ago to where you are now? Like as far as going out, like I'm going to go out on a Friday, I'm going to go take the time out and go fish. And now I'm going out Friday and I'm catching fish.
Yeah. Well, prior to that, because I've always caught good fish off the Cumberland River in my area, even just on a fun Saturday. I'd usually catch at least one in the 40s, maybe get lucky enough to catch one in the 50s, but several 10s and 20s, you know what I mean? But now I've kind of taken, a lot of that knowledge of where I caught these decent fish, and I figured out how to, target the bigger fish, which doesn't happen every time. But to answer your question, I feel a lot better, a lot more confident, in what I do to where I can actually, because the biggest thing, you don't want to post a picture on a Monday or a Sunday, and then you're going to take a guy out fishing that Wednesday, then you go out there and don't catch nothing. That just, you can't.
It does happen though.
Yeah, it does happen, but it's kind of for all of us, that would be kind of like a little kind of a hit to the ego a little bit. So I've just always been trying to stay up on the fish, their movements, their patterns, and just try to consistently stay on fish. Now, are they all going to be state records or big, huge fish? No, probably not. But we'll go out and we'll have a good time to catch some fish.
I noticed as far as my fishing and what I've done, and I guess I've been pretty heavy with it over the past 6 years, and I've been steady since I was a child as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I know in the past 6 years of what has gotten my success is obviously me being positive and having confidence. I think confidence is the major thing when you're out there on the water.
Right.
Knowing that you're, like you said, that you're confident in your gear, you're confident in your partner, whoever you're going to have out there on the water with you. I think a lot of people don't have that confidence, and that's why they struggle. I think if they actually just kicked it into gear a little bit and had that confidence and pulled that positivity, that they would be a lot more successful on the water.
Well, I'll tell you, that even goes back to when I was first using planer boards. Never used them a day in my life, and so I ended up, figuring out how to make my first set and stuff. And I had zero confidence in that. I had no idea what I was doing. So the first trip I went out, I was like, okay, this is not for me. I know people catch fish doing it. It ain't for me. But then I kind of thought about it. I did some anchor fishing, and we used to suspend drifting a lot. I used to do quite a bit of that. And I said, well, the heck with it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to try it. I'm just going to dedicate, like I said, the next week. That's all I'm going to do is I'm going to learn how to do this because it's obviously successful. I've seen a lot of people do it. And so I went out and I did it, and that's what I did. The first day I did catch a few. The second time I did it and just did nothing but dragging, I caught some good quality fish, and I caught them all day. And then I went out again later on that week and did the exact same thing, just trying different spots. And ever since then, that's been it. I probably do that about 99% of the time.
I think it's kind of crazy because we have so many different ways that we can target the fish. I mean, you have people that'll use down lines. You have people that will literally stay in one spot and just fish off the bottom, and that's all they'll do. Mm-hmm. And then you got other guys that'll be just successful as dragging boards or up in that river.
Yeah.
For us, in the Mississippi, the first time we ever got out there and really bunked was on the Mississippi, and it was interesting. It was totally different. I fish a lot of lakes myself, and going to fish a river is a different aspect. On the lakes, we don't do well downline at all, as far as my team goes. Mm-hmm. We're pulling boards, or we're spot locking, or we're anchoring. And I noticed when there's bodies of water like Wheeler, Cumberland, where you have a little bit of flow and you're pulling boards, it seems to do a little bit better. I mean, you're actually bringing the bait to them.
Yeah.
Mississippi, that's a totally different animal. I mean, now you're bumping. You got a lot more current. Mm-hmm. You have current in one stretch where it goes 5 miles, 4 miles, 3 miles, no matter if you're 25 yards apart. Yeah. So everybody has their success different. Everybody says they were going to win that tournament off of bumping. We did it on spot lock and anchor. Mm-hmm. But everybody else out there is bumping. That's what we wanted to do. If we didn't have our prop break, we would have kept doing it.
Yeah.
But so in the future, what do you plan on doing now? Just getting back into fishing and doing what you're doing and trying to go after that next big one.
Yeah, that's it. Going out there fishing, I'm going to start in the near future. I'm going to start, taking people with me that don't get a chance to, fish like that and stuff. And because I know, catfish itself, especially if you want to do it at kind of like, I'm not going to say the highest level, but a higher level, it is expensive. And I know a lot of people can't afford to do that. But if they just get out and see, like, the setups, the how-tos and stuff like that, then I think that will cause them to just think a little bit harder instead of going out and getting the first thing they can get and work and wait, save, and get, a little bit better equipment to go out and do it, which is, like I said in the beginning, kind of part of that education part of it, Right. Set yourself up for complete success, and you can never fail.
Absolutely. That's great. I really appreciate you taking out the time, Mike.
It
was really great meeting you. And
if anybody has any questions in the crowd for us.
Is there?
You guys ask your questions.
I got a question for you.
We got somebody here. We got Seth asking a question.
So, for targeting big fish, how big of baits are you throwing?
Actually, not very big at all. What I caught that last state record on was a white bass head, which was, I'm going to say, if everybody knows what a white bass looks like, you just cut the head off of it. I'm going to say it was probably, it come off a 8-inch white bass. So I don't know how to, I guess.
About 3x4.
Yeah, about 3x4 piece. Yeah.
So,
Listener says, "What's up, Micka?"
How's it going?
An elephant will eat a peanut, right?
That's exactly right. I believe that firmly. I do.
Absolutely. If we ain't got no questions, we'll wrap this up.
Not seeing any. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. What size hooks?
What size hooks?
What size hooks?
Yeah, the 9-aught circle hooks, the Mad Cat Snatchers is what I use.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Once again, Mike, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.